Hey guys, welcome back to Through the Screen. I'm Brittany.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Charlotte.
First, we'd like to thank everyone who watched, enjoyed, and shared our very first episode. We really love hearing your feedback and opinions on Pretty Little Liars, Cecil the Lion, the Banana Face Mask, and everything else we talked about. If you haven't seen the episode, head on over to our YouTube channel and watch it. We'd really like to hear what you think. This week we're back with all new topics, so we hope that you'll follow us once again as we join via Skype to bring you conversations through the screen.
Forget what you're worried about. That's how we do it down south. 'Cause you know we're gonna chill today, and we're doing it again tomorrow. I said forget what you're worried about. That's how we do it down south.
This episode we will be discussing the Pretty Little Liars summer finale, the arrest of the 7 Sea Shepherd volunteers in the Faroe Islands grind, a heartwarming reel of a story, and a homemade lip scrub that any chocolate lover will want to try. First up, Gala.
Who's that?
Who was that? Was it Jason?
I'm gonna wait out here. It's a little tight in there. Sarah!
What was that?
Don't be so dramatic, Allie.
God!
Not
You
even,
are
like,
kidding
surprised.
me!
Yeah.
That's not surprising in the least.
That
bit
is stupid!
whatsoever.
That is stupid!
That is
Oh, she thought that was Bethany.
Tell me he can never hurt my sister.
Sarah's both.
Sarah's Redcoat and Black Widow? Did the moms get out of the basement?
Seriously? Marlene better hope I never see her.
Marlene's like, you'll have no more questions after tonight. I have a lot of questions, actually.
I still have a shitload of questions. So this week on Pretty Little Liars, we finally find out who Charlie is.
Finally.
Finally. And to no surprise, it was Cece Drake the whole time.
Right.
How do we feel about this? Seriously, come on. Cece Drake this whole time?
Honestly, I think that if Cece had been in, more recent episodes, maybe it wouldn't be so annoying, but the fact that we haven't seen her for a while, it's not the worst that it could have been, but I was kind of let down.
I don't know. To me, it's frustrating to me because I feel like it was obvious, and, we've literally seen Cece in a black hoodie in plain sight. And it's just, it's irritating because it's, really predictable. And, I don't know, for me, I literally predicted that exact story. They can tell you that I said the transgender theory, weeks ago. So maybe if I hadn't thought that, maybe I would have been more surprised. But I was just I knew it the whole time. Cece was obvious. So to me, it was kind of annoying. But I guess the storyline was kind of cool the way they did it.
And I think that, I agree with you. I think that the fact that you had that theory before, so I had read this theory,
Right.
and then it just came to light. So it was just we already knew this, but
Yeah.
I did like that we learned so much. I still have questions. Then we're time jumping. We never found out what happened to the mom, but we're assuming they're not locked in a basement for 5 years. So
Let's
we're
hope not.
time jumping in January. So I'm interested to see how that goes and who's now after Allison.
That's...
I have a theory about who that could be, and since it's the only question, big question that wasn't answered was who killed Mrs. D.
Right.
I'm guessing that whoever killed Mrs. D is the next day.
Yeah, that would make sense. I can't think of who that would be. Apparently it's a guy, because at the end of the episode they said he's coming, he's already here, so we know it's a guy, and it seems like they're after specifically Allison, because the other liars were coming to warn her. So
yeah.
I can't imagine who that would be after
Spencer
Allison.
walks in the room and says, "It's too late, he's already here."
Yeah. So I don't know who
mean,
that could be.
it has to be a guy, because I'm sure that the next day it's not going to be also transgender, because that would be a little repetitive, but I don't put it past Marlene at all.
Right.
I mean, I was really hoping, I think to me, and also like the Sarah thing was really annoying that she was both Red Coat and Black Widow, because we all knew Sarah was sketchy.
Right.
Yeah.
But for her to be both of them was kind of a letdown also.
Exactly.
I mean, and you can tell right in the, when they go into that thing and Sarah stays outside, like you can already tell that, like, you know, there's something going on. She's very sketchy.
Very, very.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there was so much that was revealed in this episode. There was so much. I mean, we now know that Allie pulled the girls out of the fire, for sure, and that was how, Cece found out that Allie was still alive.
Which is very interesting to me. I was surprised Cece didn't know Allie was alive.
Right.
Yes.
Like, if she had eyes everywhere, I feel like she should have known that.
And Bethany killed Toby's mom.
Right.
And blamed it on Charles, aka
yeah.
Cece, aka Charlotte, who I'm not happy is involved in this, people.
You're A.
Exactly. This is not cool.
Right. But I don't... that part was weird to me because all Charles said was, she can't see me like this, you have to help me. And the fact that would, like... that she would push her off the roof just so that she can't see him, but he's already hiding. Like, why would you need to push her off the roof?
Well, and then she goes all crazy and is like, you did it. I'm like...
Yeah.
You are all kinds of crazy, girl.
So Bethany is basically the real villain in this, is kind of what Marlene, I think, is saying. Something like this should have definitely been 2 hours, is the thing. It should have been a 2-hour finale. Yeah, and another thing that we kind of learned was that apparently Sarah was placed down there, that she wasn't, like, actually kidnapped. She was just kind of like a decoy, I guess. And so all of those days on the wall that she was supposedly down there, everything was fake. It was that she's just working with A, apparently. So we also learned that.
Did we even hear how Cece and Sarah met?
No, we did not.
Apparently Sarah has a good story, according to Marlene, but I'm still waiting to hear that.
Questions, Marlene. You said no more questions. We have questions.
Yeah, exactly. So we learned that Cece is the one that hit Allison because she thought that she was Bethany and she was trying to protect her family, and so now it all makes sense as to why Mrs. D was protecting her, because she's her daughter. And then we also learned that Mona was the one that hit Bethany, and then Melissa buried her because she thought Spencer hit her and was trying to protect Spencer. So some of the other things.
We learned a lot. I mean,
yeah. We also learned that Mona and Cece were in Radley together, and Mona pretty much gave Cece everything to pretty much handed her the game. She handed her the game while she was in Radley.
Right.
Which is, I mean, there's still so much about that doesn't make sense. You know, remember Mona was singing all those weirdo songs, and so, like, then how did Mona not know who A was? Why didn't Mona think Allison was A? Like, there's just so many, like...
Well, her story to that is she was so drugged up that all she saw was Allie. She didn't see Cece.
Right, but so why wouldn't she tell the girls, hey, Allie's A, because that's what she thought happened, you know?
Right, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. And, like, if she hated Allison, if she's the one who started the game in the first place, why would she be telling Allison all this stuff? Like,
and Cece, like, supposedly loves Allison so much. Why would she not go after Mona, thinking, you know what I mean? Like, why would she, like, try to go after Mona because she
started it.
Like,
right.
And, like, Cece killed Wilden because he found out that Allie was alive to protect Allison.
Right.
Why? That didn't make any sense to me either.
Yeah. And another big thing is, like, how are Jenna and Shauna, like, a part of this? because
how did they link into this? Melissa.
right.
How do those three
and
characters?
that's why it really feels to me that Cece was not A from the beginning. Like, I feel like, Marlene just gradually decided, hey, Cece's going to be A, and now let me tie all these loose ends. And all loose ends are tied because it's kind of impossible to link it all without it being there in the first place.
Yeah, it's just it seems like there's a lot of pieces missing. Like, if Cece was really going to give up the game and leave the country because, the liars thought that Shauna was A and Arya killed her, like, why is Shauna even in a black hoodie is what was bothering me. Like, if she wasn't A, I mean, even if she was pretending to be A, like, how did she know about A? Why is she pretending to be A? Why does she have a black hoodie? Like, that's the part I didn't understand. And Shauna was hardly even mentioned. It was only mentioned that she was at the fire. That's the only time Shauna was really mentioned in the finale. So I'm still wondering about all of that.
And one of my big things that I realized while watching the episode for the second time was that Cece mentions that Bethany's father was having an affair with Jessica De Laurentiis. Now, the only person that we know of for a fact that was having an affair with Jessica De Laurentiis was Mr. Hastings. So does that mean that Bethany is a Hastings?
Yeah, see, that's another interesting thing, because when, like, the affair thing came up, I was like, somebody else is having an affair? Like, what is this now? Like, I don't know. So I feel like some of the storylines were just kind of thrown in there to try to make things make sense.
But it still doesn't make sense that, in the finale, the moms weren't even mentioned.
Right.
Last week was all about the moms, and, this week, they're just in a basement.
Yeah.
They're just locked in a basement. No one mentions one thing about the moms.
Right.
No one.
How can you lock four people in a basement and not even, mention them in this episode, not even show them? Like, even in the flash forward, the girls said nothing about their moms being rescued. Like, that makes no sense to me, and that to me was most frustrating.
Yeah. Or when the girls are, saying goodbye because they're going off for college. Why are there, where's your mom?
I know! Can't your mom say goodbye to you? Like, they should be there too. And, something I saw that was really funny is, someone was like, doesn't Mr. De Laurentiis ever do laundry? Wouldn't he go down there and find them?
I mean, I still love Marlene, and we're still going to watch when it comes back on in January, and I'm so excited about the flash forward, but I still have so many questions that I wish I knew the answer to.
Yeah, I personally don't like how they set up the flash forward, just 30 seconds at the very end of the episode. He's coming for you, all of a sudden we're going into this new story, we have no warning, it's just thrown in there at the end. I just feel like it was an afterthought, and I just don't like how it was done, personally.
We'll see if,
I was happy with the storyline. I felt like they took, some major points that, people face nowadays, and they put it mainstream and, gave it a face where not necessarily somebody who's famous. Yeah, so I agree. I guess that story, it touches a lot of people's, hearts because it's something that is real. It's something that people go through every single day of their lives.
Yeah.
That they are scared to admit who they really are, or their family doesn't want to admit who they really are, or, something like that. And I commend Marlene for that.
Yeah, and that was the really interesting thing. I didn't know this until after, because Marlene said this, is the reason that Cece didn't jump off the roof is because Allison finally called her Charlotte. So the fact that she was accepting her for who she was is the reason that Cece didn't jump and said game over.
We love Marlene. We just have to give her a hard time because we love the show and the characters.
We have high expectations.
Yeah.
He also wrote and directed my favorite movie of all time, so I will never hate on that woman ever.
Yeah. Yeah, we just had to put that in there that, we're not hating on Marlene, we're just we just still have questions, and we want to know, how this all ties together, so.
And if you haven't watched this week's episode and you just watched all of this and you still want to watch this week's episode, we will link the link down below. We suggest you definitely watch it because, again, there was a lot of great topics, a lot of mainstream media, things that are real and come to light every single day, as well as the crazy, kooky, Pretty Little Liars stuff that you guys always expect.
So now we want to fill you guys in on the goings on in the Faroe Islands. Right now they're having their annual grind, which is something that they've been doing since the 11th century, where every year they use loud sounds to herd whales, and sometimes they'll get a dolphin or two into a small area so they can all get in the water and chop their heads off. And it's a bloody, disgusting mess. And they do it in the name of, they're saying that they're doing this and they're giving food to everyone, and in the name of tradition, since it's been going on for years. Sea Shepherd has been actively trying to get this stopped, and they're still over there now.
So most recently, my story happened on July 20th, 2015. Two volunteer crew members from Sea Shepherd, Susan Larson of the United States and Tom Sturath of Germany, were both arrested in the Faroe Islands. Both were investigating a flotilla at the time of their arrest, with their main boat, the Sam Simon, standing close by on their port side. What transpired was they were spotted by the flotilla. Another small boat from the flotilla broke off, came towards the Sam Simon, and threw a line in its bow, which damaged the propeller and made and disabled the Sam Simon. Then the Danish Navy came and interjected in between the Sam Simon and the small ship, the Farley, which the two volunteer crew members were on, doing their research and their investigating. And the Faroe police then came and boarded the Farley, which was the small ship, and arrested the two volunteers. Both are being charged with a law that states you cannot disturb the Whaling Act of any kind. You can't prevent them from doing what they're trying to do. And both were taken into custody, and they were both charged with this act.
And
It's since been reported by the local media that the hunters were attempting to gather a pod of whales and drive them towards the shore to start the grind, and the pod escaped and prevented the grind.
Right, and then on July 23rd, 5 more volunteers were arrested. And that day, around 253 pilot whales were slaughtered. And so of the 5 volunteers, only 2 of them were actually physically interfering with the grind. The other 3 were just witnessing it. And 4 out of the 5 volunteers arrested are citizens of the European Union. And under the EU, the grind is actually recognized as an illegal activity. It's illegal in Denmark, but it is protected in the Faroe Islands because it's a self-governing, province. So technically, the grind is illegal in Denmark, but protected in the Faroe Islands. And 4 out of the 5 volunteers were arrested on one beach where 111 whales were slaughtered. Mariana Baldo of Italy and Xavier Figuerella of France were on a boat over a mile away just documenting the grind. They were intercepted and arrested, and each of them was fined $4,400 or 14 days in jail. And also their boat was confiscated, even though the law states that property cannot be taken away if its value exceeds the fine, which it did. And then Christophe Bondieu of Belgium actually physically interfered with the grind. He placed himself in between the killers and the whales, and even though he physically interfered, he was actually fined less than the 2 people over a mile away not physically interfering. So he was charged $3,700 or 14 days in jail. And then finally, Rosie Kinnick of South Africa, who is the Sea Shepherd land team leader, also physically interfered and was fined a little over $5,200 or 14 days in jail. And later, I believe it was later on that day on a separate beach where 142 whales were slaughtered. Kevin Schiltz of Luxembourg did not even interfere with the grind. He was just standing witness to it. But because he was wearing a Sea Shepherd shirt, he was arrested. And he was charged $740 or 8 days in jail. And all 5 of the volunteers have refused to pay the fine. They would rather serve their jail time. Rosie Kinnick said, "If you call what we did a crime, we demand to serve our time." So rather than paying the fine that might possibly go back into funding this grind, they would rather serve their time in jail. And Sea Shepherd Global as a whole was also fined $11,000 because the Danish government felt that some entity had to be responsible for these volunteers, and they are also not paying the fine. So, as I said, the 5 volunteers wanted to serve their jail time. They were denied that by the Danish prosecutor, and this morning, all 5 of them were deported. Their Sea Shepherd's lawyer appealed the sentence and appealed the deportation and was unsuccessful, and they ended up being deported this morning.
Just a couple of days ago, 5 more Sea Shepherd volunteers were arrested when they were trying to interfere with a grind that killed over 62 whales. Rudy Bekeve of the Netherlands, Tobias Bohem of Germany, Alice Bodine of Italy, Francis Holtman of the United States, and Rory Thomas of the UK were all arrested. Right now, their passports have been confiscated. They're just kind of awaiting to be charged. They're probably going to be charged with the same law and probably face deportation, but that's not it. I mean, it's been said I've seen it from several different sources, that they actually came up with this law specifically because of Sea Shepherd. Like, this hasn't always been a law. I mean, several other measures have been taken to try to get this grind stopped that don't directly involve Sea Shepherd. Like, they, starting this year in May, when they started the grind, they had to take a special class and get a special certificate, which is kind of like a normal hunting thing all over. Like, I know you have to do that anyway, so this should have been intact before. But in order to get out there and hunt these whales, but people still took the class and are out there hunting them. So it wasn't really effective.
That's just, it's ridiculous. Like, the way their law system just seems so corrupt, because if you're going to charge someone with a crime and sentence them to prison, you can't just go back and say, "Oh no, you're not allowed to serve your term, you're being deported." Like, why would you just say that in the first place?
You told them they had to go to jail, so they want to go to jail, and you're like, just kidding.
They didn't want them in jail. They wanted them to pay the fine so that the money went back to the grind. That's
right.
Which is ridiculous. I mean, these people, they are using this whale meat, eating it, and it's just slowly killing them because the mercury levels are so high in this meat that, the effects can include, heart disease, memory loss, tremors, deafness, blindness, and babies it's even worse, or if a woman is pregnant, it's even worse because it says it can cause mental retardation, cerebral palsy. I mean, the risk of eating this meat are just absolutely insane, let alone, like, going out there and being, like, wallowing around in blood. That has to be insane.
Right. And it's not only mercury, like, there are other things in this meat, like arsenic, zinc, cadmium, selenium, lead. It's ridiculously toxic, and they're consuming this and possibly harming unborn children and future generations.
And unsuspecting people, because some of the meat is going to hotels. So tourists like us,
people like us who travel there and don't know any better and just eat whatever they give us, we get sick because we don't eat that at all. Like, it's hardly ever in our mainstream food industry at all. I mean, I would think that when you cook, fish or certain things, it kills a lot of the mercury off. Or
it even, like, we have hard regulations on mercury in our food anyways, but we also don't have, because the bigger the creature is, the more mercury that's in their meat. So, if there's 10,000 times, it says, more mercury in one of those big old whales than there is in the little fish that is consumed here in the U.S. So we have we have nothing compared to this here. And that's what I'm wondering, how informed are these people with the meat? Do they even know the mercury is in there? Do they know the effects of the mercury or other metals or arsenic that are in this meat that they're eating? All in the name of tradition.
Right.
Or the fact that, something else is, if you eat enough of this mercury, I'm sure it eventually gets in your bloodstream and in your DNA system, and I'm sure you pass those traits onto your children, and like you said, the cerebral palsy, and, it creates those types of diseases just through the blood itself.
Parkinson's is another one that it also can lead to. It's ridiculous. And the way they're killed is disgusting. Like, this usually occurs between July and August of every year. And as many as 1,100 whales are herded in and killed by villagers who are just waiting there at the beach with knives, and they cut through the neck and break the spinal cord, and it can take them anywhere from 30 seconds to 4 minutes to die, just like drowning in their own blood. It's absolutely horrific, and these people are watching with children on their shoulders, and it's just disgusting.
Now you'll see pictures of little 2-year-olds walking around. Right now there is a petition going around to hopefully make it illegal there, since it is illegal in Denmark.
Right.
Obviously, you never know how much effect these things are going to have, but if you would like to sign it, and hopefully, stimulate some change. It's something small you can do, but we will link it down below. So go and, maybe it will make a difference. Eventually, people change. A lot of changes happen in the United States with different things. So there's hope that this will end.
Yes, and also, if you'd like to go to Sea Shepherd's website, you can find all their upcoming events. Maybe you might have one near you. You can go and get merchandise like Emily is wearing to support, Sea Shepherd if you don't want to, go out there necessarily yourself.
You can make a donation as well. All of your merchandise you're going to buy obviously is going to go there, but if you just, stuff that the people who are out actually on the boats need.
Right, and
many ways to help Sea Shepherd out as well. And, like you said, they're on the front lines.
Yeah, and the Faroe Islands isn't the only place that they're going to. Taiji Cove in Japan. There's places, I believe, in like Miami, and there's new campaigns like every so often. They have new campaigns. They're out there all the time trying to protect our oceans. So definitely, follow their stuff, go to their website, everything like that. So after all of this news, we wanted to bring you guys a little bit happier news. So we have another whale story that's a little bit more positive. So earlier in August, Cicero Barbosa and a few of his friends were out boating in Brazil, and they actually came across a humpback whale that was trapped in what appeared to be a net. And, rather than just going by or harming the whale in any way, they actually cut her free. And the most interesting part of this story is what they believe as, expressing gratitude. She actually, waved at them before swimming away. And, we'll link the article down below. You can see pictures. There's also a video out of that taking place, but I think it kind of goes to show that there are still good people in the world.
Yeah, and kudos to those guys for not, making the whale a trophy or cutting its head off and trying to eat its meat.
Right.
It's heartwarming.
And again, it shows that, we as humans can relate to these animals very much so, because they thanked them. It's the emotional state, it shows that they have emotions, that they are just like us, and just because they live in the ocean doesn't mean that we should have the right to kill them.
So, as you guys know, we've been testing products that you can try at home using things that you have at home, things that are alternatives to stuff at the store that are tested on animals or animal byproducts. So things that you all can try. And this week we did a chocolate lip scrub, and basically you mix brown sugar, cocoa powder, vanilla, and vegetable oil. and you mix that all together and you put it on your lips for about a minute. You rub it in, and then you just take a damp cloth and wipe it off. And as was the case last week, it was kind of weird to put on, but I mean the taste and the smell and everything was good, and afterwards my lips felt really smooth, so personally I liked it.
I also liked it. With any like exfoliating thing, like the purpose is to get the dead skin off, make your skin smooth, and then in this case your lips smooth. The smell, and oh my gosh, it tasted so good. It was so good tasting. My only thing is, I think next time if I make it, I will use coconut oil instead of vegetable oil, because I feel like it would be more moisturizing. And it makes so much, like the recipe makes so much that I actually was thinking it'd be a good idea for like a gift for, like, you know, a bridal shower or a birthday or a teacher gift or whatever. So I just put it in this little jar. Or if you're just going to store it, just make sure it's in a closed container of some sort, and you can, I mean, it will last for a while.
Right. Yeah, because it does make a lot.
I guess, like, I'm the negative person on all these topics, so, but I will say that this one wasn't as bad as previous week's one with the banana and the lemon. I was not a fan of that one, but this week, yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad doing it. It smelled awesome, it tasted awesome, and I don't know, my lips just didn't stay soft, but it did do its job. It got that skin off at first.
Well, and like I said, maybe, you know, put something moisturizing on afterwards, or use coconut oil, because I do feel like it's not very moisturizing, but that's not the full purpose of it. But if it were me, I think next time if I make it again, which I probably will, I'll just use coconut oil, because coconut oil is good for everything.
Right. Yeah, so we'll link the recipe down below. Again, you guys don't have to use as much as it says. You can use less, or you can use as much as it says and keep it. Another option. And if you guys do try it, let us know what you think, or as always, let us know if you have more suggestions. We're thinking about trying to make food, like food recipes. If you have something that you want to make vegan, just ask us and we can try and find something for you guys to test. We'll be your guinea pigs.
Yep, anything, just let us know. I'm really excited to do the food one, because I am convinced that we are going to find something Charlotte's going to like. So if you have anything that you want veganized, seriously, any food, let us know, because we're gonna win Charlotte over.
Yeah, if Charlotte likes it, you'll know it's good.
Yes.
Exactly, because I am picky. I am the pickiest one ever. So
please let us know, though. Comments. We want to talk to you guys.
Okay, so this week, before we go, we wanted to bring you guys a new segment in which we share a song of the week. Some of you already know from last week's episode that Radical Something is our favorite band, and they are releasing 10 new songs this every Monday this summer, and as part of the Summer of Rad 2. This week's song is Cool Me Down, and it's super fun, it's upbeat and relaxing, the video is awesome, and we suggest you check it out, listen to it, and let us know what you think of our favorite bands, and you know, you might find another song that you relate to more, because they have plenty of great music, so check it out.
We're going to link the video below. I'm in love with this video. It's so beautiful, so make sure you watch it.
Yeah, and we're also going to link the links to subscribe to them on YouTube, as well as their social media, so be sure to check them out on that. So, alright guys, that's our show. We hope you enjoyed the second installment of Through the Screen, and if you did, be sure to like down below and also subscribe to our channel. We post new videos every week, and we'd love for you to join us and also tell your friends. Next week, since Pretty Little Liars is now done until January, we're doing a special TV throwback to Charmed, one of our favorite shows. And so we'll all be watching the same episode and talking about it with you guys. So we will also be talking about a whole bunch of new topics, so be sure to not miss that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay informed, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.